Sandakpur Phalu trek is one of the popular trek in eastern Himalayas and very popular to see a sleeping Buddha. You trek through three of the ranges, Nepal, Purvanchal and Sikkim, and also will get to view three of the highest mountains in each of these ranges, Everest in Nepal, Kanchenjunga in Sikkim and Komalahuri in Purvanchal, and famous to see red pandas if you are lucky enough.
എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം. ഇന്ന് ഷെയർ ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നത് ഒരു ട്രെക്കിംഗ് എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് ആണ്. സന്ദാക്പൂർ ട്രെക്കിംഗ്. ഇത് വെസ്റ്റ് ബംഗാൾ ഇന്ത്യ നേപ്പാൾ ബോർഡറിൽ ഉള്ള ഒരു ട്രെക്കിംഗ് ആണ്. സോ വെസ്റ്റ് ബംഗാൾ ആൻഡ് നേപ്പാൾ ബോർഡർ ആ സ്ട്രെച്ചിലൂടെ കടന്നു പോകുന്ന ഒരു ട്രെക്കിംഗ് ആണ്. ഇറ്റ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട്സ് ഫ്രോം ദ സിറ്റി ഡാർജിലിംഗ്. ഇതൊരു ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട് ട്രെക്ക് അല്ല. ഇത് ഒരു ട്രെക്കിംഗ് ആദ്യമായിട്ടൊക്കെ ചെയ്യാൻ വിചാരിക്കുന്നവർക്ക് തിരഞ്ഞെടുക്കാൻ പറ്റിയ ഒരു ട്രെക്കിംഗ് ആണ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് ലൈക്ക് ഇറ്റ്സ് 6 day 6 ദിവസത്തെ ട്രെക്കിംഗ്, 6 day ട്രെക്കിംഗ്. ബട്ട് ഇറ്റ് കംസ് ഇൻ ടു ദ കാറ്റഗറി ഓഫ് മൈൽഡ് ടു മോഡറേറ്റ്, നോട്ട് എ ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട് ട്രെക്ക്. ഇതിനൊരു സ്പെഷ്യാലിറ്റി, വെൻ യു റീച്ച് ടു ദ സമ്മിറ്റ് ഓർ ദ പീക്ക് പോയിന്റ്, എന്താണ്, നമുക്കൊരു സ്ലീപ്പിംഗ് ബുദ്ധ കാണാൻ പറ്റും. അതാണ് ഇതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഫേമസ് അട്രാക്ഷൻ. ഐ മീൻ ദ ഹിൽ in a form of a sleeping Buddha. So when you reach to the summit and when you see to this the hill area, you will clearly see a sleeping Buddha over there. So if you're blessed, another climate if it's not cloudy and all that, you will be able to see it from a distance. So that is the end point of this trekking, and that's a specific attraction for this trekking. And the other interesting point is, this is in India. It covers India as well as you touch a little part of Nepal. So you cover India-Nepal border in this trekking. നമ്മൾ സാധാരണ മൂവീസിലൊക്കെ കാണുന്ന പോലെ ഇന്ത്യ പാകിസ്ഥാൻ ബോർഡറിനൊക്കെ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഒത്തിരി സെപ്പറേഷൻസും ഫെൻസ് ഇങ്ങനെ മതിലൊക്കെ വെച്ചിട്ട്. ഓർ എൽസ് ഈവൻ ഇഫ് യു ബീൻ ടു വാഗ ബോർഡർ ആൻഡ് ഓൾ, ഇറ്റ്സ് വെരി ക്ലിയർലി വിസിബിൾ. ഇന്ത്യ ആൻഡ് പാകിസ്ഥാനുള്ള ബോർഡർ ഭയങ്കര ക്ലിയർ ആയിട്ട് ഡെപിക്റ്റ് ചെയ്ത് അതിനൊരു ഫെൻസ് ഒക്കെ വെച്ചിട്ട്. പക്ഷേ ഹിയർ വെൻ വി വർ ട്രെക്കിംഗ്, വി വർ ലൈക്ക് ഈവൻ പാസിങ് ത്രൂ നേപ്പാൾ. അതിൻ്റെ ബോർഡറിലുള്ള കുറച്ച് ഏരിയ നമ്മൾ കവർ ചെയ്യുന്നത് നേപ്പാളിലെ കൂടെ തന്നെയാണ്. അപ്പം ഞങ്ങൾ അന്നത്തെ ദിവസം ടെൻറ്റ് ചെയ്തത്, ലൈക്ക് അവർ ടെൻറ്റ് വാസ് ഇൻ ഇന്ത്യ, ലൈക്ക് ഇൻ വെസ്റ്റ് ബംഗാൾ, ബട്ട് വെയർആസ് ദ ബ്രേക്ക്ഫാസ്റ്റ് ടേബിൾ വാസ് സെറ്റ് in Nepal. So we were like all making joke of it ki India kadandoranghi and you are having your breakfast in Nepal kind of. So that was one of the attraction. And you see a name board which says this direction goes to Nepal, and if you just take a turn you may reach to Nepal. So that is how it was, and it was a very interesting trek.
This was our trekking group, and I have lots of stories to tell you with respect to Sandakpur trek. എനിക്ക് ഒത്തിരി കമൻസ് കിട്ടി എൻ്റെ ഫ്രണ്ട്സിൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് നിന്ന്. ഞാൻ മലയാളത്തിൽ സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ അവർക്കൊന്നും ഫോളോ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല എന്ന്. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ ഇംഗ്ലീഷും മലയാളവും കൂടി ഒരു മംഗ്ലീഷ് ഫോമിലാണ് ഈ വീഡിയോ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. This is one of the most beautiful places around you when you walk, and this is one of the best places I have ever visited in my life.
It was a little different than all the travels which I have done, and in a perspective like, so you're going to be in a group of people which is around 20, and you do not know any one of them, and you've never met, you don't know who all of them are. It may be a group, right? There may be a group of it can be one group and you're joining that group, or it can be two different groups of people and you're joining them, or it may be friends, it may be family friends, etc. So it was like, you have no idea what the group is. So I was very sure, like, you're going to be alone in that group, and if it's a group who is coming, so probably they will be, most of the time they will be together, they will be doing their stuff, etc., and you will be alone, and you are going alone. So be clear, like, you may have to spend these many days quite alone. So I filled in my bag with a couple of books which I wanted to read. I took my Kindle so that I don't have so much weight to carry. I subscribed and got all the books which I wanted to fill in, so that in the entire 6 days you have enough good amount of time to read and you complete that. And of course you are aware, when we travel we don't get any internet connectivity at all. So there is no time waste with respect to usage of your phone. So you are, only thing what you can do is have a Kindle and read if the other people are in a group. So that is what I made up my mind, and I did my packing accordingly. But for my surprise, when I reached there, each one of us came from different city. Each one of us came, I mean, all of us were like, individually came. There was no group except I think two of them, they were friends. But then still they were like, two different places they were coming from. Likewise, each one of us were coming from, alone. So that made a very good mix of people. Uh, uh, and for my surprise, when I reached there, I realized there were two more other girls who traveled from Bangalore, but where we were not aware. They took a different flight, and one of them came a day prior to me. One came in the later evening flight. So only after landing there or reaching to the basement camp, we realized all of us are from Bangalore, different parts of Bangalore. So that was a quite good group. Because everyone is new, so initial days were like, to get to know people, and none of them were in a group, so it resulted in an equal interaction with each one of them. And couple of them were travel enthusiasts, so a lot of places which they have gone earlier, which they explored too. So all those story, where a couple of them had done a lot of trekking, and still they wanted to do a Sandakpur trek, and because of which they came. So all this story is something which is the very, very interesting part of trekking, which I found, and which makes me curious and excited about trekking always.
So during every day's travel, after walking a certain distance, so there is an point which we already know where we are supposed to stay. So likewise, for every day there was a plan, as much as the distance which you are going to cover, and this is a place we will be staying. And in between is the places where we took a break for tea or having lunch. Etc., etc. And most of the places, if you see, it is like all the tea houses made of wood. The houses are made of wood, and that was quite interesting to see. Okay, let me tell you about the group of people who gathered in the first batch for trekking.
So one of them were a girl from Bangalore. Like she was going for her higher studies in US. So she just completed her graduation and got an admission in US for her higher studies, masters, and she wanted to have a gap in between and just relax. So that's the reason she was there. And one of them, the guy, he was from, I think, from Navy, and most of the time he gets 6 months of work in water. We were making him fun, like you 6 months in water and 6 months in land. So the 6 months he gets out of work, and which is the time which he uses completely for exploring places. So I think he came from Surat. And I was just about to finish my thesis writing, and I was just really frustrated, and I wanted a break, and that is why I landed up in this group. And likewise, I think so one of the girl from Bangalore, she was in a, she just left I think in a notice period of a job, and she was moving to a new job, so in between there was a break. So everyone had one or the other independent reason to be there, and that made all of us to be together. And for Sandakpur from India Hike, that was the first trekking which was happening. So it's like the first trekking for that place in the month of August. So from August onwards, there are a couple of batches which starts like every second week or every week there is a group which starts from the basement till there. So when we were going, we couldn't see anyone because we were the first batch of people who was going to Sandakpur. But whereas while coming back, we could see like the second batch and the third place. The third batch just started and they've just finished one day and etc. So normally the trekking group will say you should not go in the first batch. And why? Because you do not know what challenges is ahead, because the trekking would have over a few months back, and now is a new season starting. So you may there can be multiple reasons which multiple obstacles also. There may be a like we did had a situation in one of the trek where the bridge which we were supposed to cross, that was broken. So because there was no batch went ahead of us, we didn't know that information until we reached there. We do not know what happened, what is the situation. So it's always they say you should not go in a first batch, so that the second batch onwards, you will know what all is the obstacles, it's ahead. But we were quite, was not knowing all this. So we were like, okay, how does it matter, first batch or second batch, etc. And similarly, the trouble with the first batch is, like, if you have to keep a tent and most of the things, you have to carry everything. Like, you you have to carry everything and do the entire setup there. But whereas if they have an every week batch which is going on, so couple of, I think, places or where you have to keep tent, so they kind of like, kept it booked, kind of like, our second batch is coming, they will take over this place, like that. But when we are going for the first time from this group, we take whatever place which is available and all that, and it was quite fresh, like, nobody has used, like, the place where you make your tent and all that. It was quite fresh and natural because it's been quite some time, people have not gone. Otherwise it's the same trail all the batches will take, and you can have that feel like, there is a batch which has gone ahead of us. And
this was our trekking guide, Gaurav sir. He was an encyclopedia of all the treks which is available in Himalayan region, and talking to him was always a bliss. And Sandakphu followed trek is of 65 kilometer long and covering an altitude of 11,950 feet. Sandakphu is the highest peak in the state of West Bengal, and it is the highest point of Singalia Ridge in Darjeeling district on the West Bengal-Nepal border. The peak is located at the edge of the Singalia National Park. New Jalpaiguri is the nearest railway station. NJP, we normally call it as New Jalpaiguri. So that was the point where we all been told to gather to go to the base camp. And if you are traveling from a different city, and if, the nearest airport is Bagdogra airport, which is in West Bengal. So that was the nearest airport for anybody to reach to Sandakphu trekking. So there are a lot of aspects with respect to trekking. How do you prepare yourself? How do you register? What needs to be carried? How do you reach there? What happens in the base camp, what all measurements or safety precautions they take during the trekking, etc., etc. So there's a lot of information I have to give you. So I'll be creating a couple of series of videos with respect to that, where I'll focus very specifically on specific topics with respect to trekking. So please tune in to the upcoming videos as well, which will give you a lot of information with respect to trekking. If you are somebody who is aspiring to do a trekking and always wanted to do but held yourself back, to know more about the trekking details, please subscribe the channel. And if you wanted to know anything specific, please include your comments in the comments box, and like and share. Thank you.